Hey guys, welcome back to another video in C Programming course. Myself, I'm Anand Simon Han and I'm a campus here, Coco. So, without any further delay, let's move on to today's agenda. So, in our today's class, we're going to discuss about functions. What is exactly mean by function and why do we use functions, how to use functions, and even we are using the main functions since we are beginning of the class, but we not even explore like what exactly mean function and how it exactly run and everything. So let's explore about functions in today's class, and then we'll also look into some problems and functions and everything. Let's move on to my code blocks first. I'm going to open code blocks here. Yeah, I'm going to create a new project here. Console application. I'm going to click on Go here. C program, and here I'm going to select a project name as functions here. Functions in C. I'm going to choose a project name as functions. Or function is enough, not in C. Yeah, I'm going to choose function. So I'm going to click on finish here. So now I'm going to click on this plus icon here beside sources, and I'll get this particular main.c. I'm going to double click on main.c. So now we got this default code that we got from this particular thing. So now let's explore what exactly mean by function. So here, even we are using this printf here, printf is also function, and this main is also a function. Main is also a function, and printf is also a function. So what exactly mean by all these things? You get to understand at end of this class. So let's talk about what is exactly mean by function. So basically, it is a set of statements that take input to do specific computation and produce an output. So that's exactly mean by function. Like it's going to take a specific inputs and do a specific task, and then it's going to produce an output. So that's what you're going to happen exactly mean by what exactly mean by function is. So why we actually use a function here? So before but actually why we actually using function, because actually it's better if I could go with an example. So now we discuss about the function, what exactly mean function. So now in functions also we have two different type of functions. One is inbuilt functions, and another is inbuilt or predefined, and another is user defined function. So we have two types of functions. Let me increase my size here. Yeah, so we have two different types of functions. Let me comment it out first. So we have two different types of functions. One is predefined or inbuilt function. So we have two different functions. Like one is predefined or inbuilt function, and another is user defined function. Predefined or inbuilt function in the sense the functions already inbuilt with the C programming language that we are already including. Like C, for example, here we using main function is also a predefined or inbuilt function. What exactly this function does and everything is already known by C programming. So we just use that function, and then we just enjoy the usage of the particular function. That's it. We don't even bother about how exactly is like how exactly the first function, everything. That's everything is abstracted, like what exactly, like how it exactly runs and everything is abstracted inside the C programming. Like uh, uh, we just uh, we just call the particular function, and then we just enjoy the function, like how it exactly, like everything one. That's it. So that's what we exactly do here. And coming to, and even printf function is also a predefined function. Even this sorry, yeah, even the printf function that we use, right, like for printing hello world, and even that also predefined function, inbuilt function. What exactly the printf function does and everything already known by C programming. We just call a particular function, and then you just enjoy the particular functionality of that particular function, that whatever we got from that inbuilt function. Just by just including this particular header files, we're just enjoying the particular function. We're just calling the function, and then we're just enjoying the how it exactly run and everything. So that's what we do here. And coming to user defined functions. So user defined functions, like the users, like for example, like we are the users, like we are the programmers, that we actually create our own functions. That is nothing but a user defined functions. So let me actually explore more about functions, like how actually why we use the functions. And we have two different type of and we have different types of functions. And also we have the parameter function, like we have a two ways to pass a parameters and everything. We're going to explore it right now. So let me start with an example first. Let me write an example first. So first I'm going to declare a variables here. I'm going to declare variables a equals to 10 here, and b equals to 5 here. I'm going to do it this way. So now what I'm going to do is, so we have declared two variables a and b, and we have initialized it value with 10 and 5. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to here in the beginning of this code, I'm going to type one thing. So here I'm going to type void here. I'm just looking to like what exactly what I'm writing here. Void sum. I'm going to type the integer x, integer y here. I'm going to type in this way. Now what I'm going to do here, x plus y. So those here, these are like small, so I'm going to give a small one. So here I'm going to store it in inside z here. Yeah, so we are just storing it in inside z. So now I'm going to print it out with z here. I'm just printing in the z here. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to call a particular function, this functionality. See here what exactly, just don't bother about the syntax, like what I have written here and everything. Just let me run the code, and then you get some clarity like what exactly mean the function. So I just want to show first that thing, and then I'm going to explain what exactly all the things and everything we're going to explain. No need to bother about it right now. So now here I'm going to call this a function name. So here I'm declaring the function name as sum, right? Isn't it? I have declared a name as sum here. So I'm going to give sum here, sum, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pass the values here, a comma b here. I'm going to pass in this way. Now I'm going to run this code. Mhm. So now I got output as 15. So I'm just adding this particular 10 and 5. I'm just passing through this particular function sum. I have declared what exactly the function sum function does, and everything I have already declared. I have mentioned in this particular here on line number 427. I have mentioned what exactly the function does and everything. So I'm just calling this particular function, and then I'm just passing those values a comma b. And here I'm taking the values here as a x and y, and here I'm adding this particular things x and y, and then I'm storing it in z, and then I'm printing in the value, the z value I'm printing. So after addition of this both particular values, I'm going to print it in as z. So now for example, now I want to give a clarity like why we use functions here. So it actually reduce a repetition of code for you to write a repetition of code. Like for example, like yeah, that's the reason I just want to show the first output. Then only I'm going to explore like what exactly mean function. So that yeah. So for here, for example, if you want to, what do you guys do? Like for example, if you want to. If we actually adding a and b, right, isn't it? So if you want to add some more two values, like I've added this particular data, and I also want to add a few more data, like I also like after calculating this particular data, I also want to add two more data, like here I have given a comma b, and I want to also add two more values like c comma d here. I want to store the values for them as well, 15 comma 15 here. So if you want to add these two particular data as well, 15 and comma 7 15, I mean C and D as well, then what do you guys do? Like whatever till now we have learned up to right now, whatever we have learned up to whatever the knowledge that we have, what are you guys going to do? You guys going to type the code again. I mean the repetition of code like the sum. Again you're going to type Z plus the same thing. Here you're going to write for this particular A and B. You're going to type, and you're also going to type for C plus D. For like you have to add the you have to you're going to do the same procedure in a repetition manner. You're going to type it multiple times. So that's going to be very like that's going to be very like tedious task, right? Isn't it? You're going to type the same code again again. That's going to be like very tedious task. So that's the reason we have a functions here. We're going to declare the function like everything what the function does and everything we are going to declare here, and we just call the particular function by just passing this function like the values and whatever the function does and everything known by the particular function name that we already declare here. Some going to do this particular task, so that we already mentioned the particular functionality. So here what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pass c comma here here c comma d. I'm going to pass this particular value, and now what I'm going to do here, uh, I'm not going to print here. First of all, I'm going to type return z here. So what exactly are this written and why I'm choosing here and everything. You I'm going to explain. Don't bother about it right now. So let me. I just want to show like what exactly the function does and why we actually use function. So I just want to show that first. Here what I'm going to do e is equal to. I'm going to do in this way. Uh, f equals to. I'm going to give printf function for two times. So like, and now I'm going to do e comma f here. So now I'm going to run the code first, so then I'm going to show like what exactly the function does and everything, because I didn't declare it, so that's why it's showing error. I'm going to declare it. Yeah. So now we got the output as 15 and 30. So 15 is like 10 plus 5 is a 15, and 15 plus 15 is also 15 plus 15 is 30. So that's what we got on output as well. So what exactly see? So if you want to add this particular two data, then you have to like the knowledge that whatever we got till now, like what are the concept that we have learned till now. So what are you guys going to do? We going to make a function like without function, like we're going to add this but a plus b, we're going to add it and we're going to store it in one variable, and we're going to again declare two more variables, that is c and d here, and also one more going to declare one more variable, and then we're going to do like we're going to add this particular c plus d, and we're going to store it in again. So all this same procedure we're going to do in a multiple ways, right? Isn't it? So here we actually escaping this particular repetition code here. So that's what it exactly mean. Even we can write in a simpler manner, like by just pasting it here. Even in this way also we can write here. I know you guys can say the same thing. The lines of the code going to be very. So that's what I just want to write here. So now, so the whatever the function does and everything is already known by here. We already mentioned what exactly the function have to do, and even this particular the same function we just changing those values. That's it. So we're just running the code, and we're going to run the code the same code again. We get the same output as well. So we got the same output as well, the same output. So what exactly the function does, let's discuss right now. So see, the user defined function. So these are the user defined functions that we got, we declared it. We not even know like how what I mean by sum. The compiler don't even understand what exactly mean by sum. So we have to mention what exactly the function does and everything. We have what exactly the function do and everything. We have to mention. The compiler don't even know what exactly mean by sum is. So that's the reason I have mentioned everything here. z is something, and the this particular sum is do this particular task. That's what we have to mention everything. So now let me write it outside of the code again. So because I just want to explain it now. So yeah, so what exactly this particular, see, we have declared a function. This is a return type here. You have to remember this is a return type here. So this return type going to decided by the functionality, like what are we actually returning here. We are returning means like we just see this actually this return type is based upon the return type that we are returning from that particular function to our main function. So we are catching particular data. Whatever we are actually calculating here, x plus z we are calculating and we are storing it in z here, z. So we actually returning the z value into our, and I'm just catching it in my e here inside e in main function. So that's the reason we are mentioning return z. So whatever z is integer type, so we have to mention z. So z is a integer type, so even you have mentioned the return type as z, so we have to mention here as well the integer type itself. So if for example if the z is float, then you can change, obviously you can change it as to float. So if Z is a cat or Z is a double, Z is something, you can change it to accordingly. So that's not an issue. You can change it to anyways whatever you like and whatever you want. Based upon the return type, you have to specify the return type here. What are you are actually returning in this particular, and you're catching it in some in function. So that's what you have to mention the return type here. The same return type whatever you're returning here. And then this is the function name. You have to specify the function, like how we actually declare a variable. The same way you have to also mention the function name as well. And now here we actually so when it comes to main function, we're not even using any parameter inside the parameters. We're not even using anything here, isn't it? But when it comes to user defined function, we can actually specify the parameter. So inside this like inside this parenthesis, whatever we mentioned, that is called as parameters. So inside this thing, like this highlighted thing, like whatever this inside this particular highlighted thing, you just look into this highlighted thing. What are we actually inside this particular highlighted thing, that is called as parameters. So we can have any kind of parameters. We can have any data type of like any type of parameters like integer, character, float, double, or anything. We can have anything here inside this particular inside the parenthesis. So we can have anything. And now so we actually here declare the sum here. We're just calling the function here. So this is nothing but calling a function. This is nothing but calling a function. Calling function. So here we actually specify the function what exactly it does, and here we just calling the function what like what after the calculation part done over there. We just calling like we just calling the function, this particular function. After the execution part, everything is done inside the sum, inside this sum function, and it's going to return it, and it's going to catch inside the e data here. That's what we have given. It actually going to return in this particular like it's going to replace sum by the data in the sense we have 10 plus 15 is 50, 10 plus 5 is 15, so it's going to replace by 15 here. When it actually this particular line is execute, and it's going to execute this entire code. Once it's going to return this particular z here, it's going to replace by, so a and b are 10 and 5, right? So it's going to replace by 15, so it's nothing but 15. That's it. When it actually return from that particular sum, it's going to replace by 15. So that's what actually this is nothing but calling a function. Like whenever we declare a function, until we call the function, it's not going to execute the function. So that's what the function, like you have to also declare, you have to specify what exactly the function does, and then you have to call that particular function whenever you need it. Without calling a function, it not even execute the code. Without calling this particular function, it not even execute. Even if you run it right now, it's not even going to print anything. That's what you have to do. You have to specify the function call. You have to call the function, then only you're going to execute the code. So that's what you have to do. and whenever you declare a function, you have to also call that. If you want the functionality, then you have to call a particular function, and you have to specify the parameters accordingly. Even not only like with or without parameters we can do anything, that we are going to explore more about these parameters in our coming videos, so no need to bother about it. So we have multiple videos on functions, so we can learn everything one by one, so no need to bother about right now. So now, so this is calling the function. So when we call the function, it's going to execute and it's going to do everything. So the a is 10, it's going to replace by 10 here, um, and the b going to replace by 5. It's nothing but it's going to replace it, that's it. So that's what you have to assume here. And now when the function is called here, with this int a going to replace by 10, and into y going to replace by 5. So it's going to replace the values. That's what you have to assume in this way. This is what going to happen in a background, in internal memory, that going to happen here inside the memory. So you have to assume in this way. You're going to everything is going to happen in this manner, like the inside the memory. So yeah, so this is what going to replace by 5, 10 and 5. So once we're done with this thing, it's going to add it, and we are storing it inside this z here. That is what are the type you want, you can specify here. I'm just changing it back to again int here. Yeah. So once it's calculated, we're going to store in a Z, and then we are returning the Z. Once we're done with the function, we just returning the function to our particular main function. Here we're just replacing it by. So we're going to replace by the sum of the particular 10 and 5. That's going to be 15. So we're going to store it inside E, and we are just printing E as well. Or else we just even we are calling this particular C comma D. They're going to actually going to replace by here, that we are actually going to replace by 30 here. That value going to execute in this particular manner. So that's what is actually going to happen here. So this is what about the how it exactly works and everything. So now we discuss like how it exactly run, like how it exactly works internally, and what exactly mean a function, and why we use function. Because we have if we want to do the same task for different variables, then we're going to use the functions in this manner. So where we're going to help the function going to help you in a more we're going to avoid this repetition of code. Like for example, like whatever we have discussed, like C and D, that we're going to do in repetition manner, right? That going to like that we're going to reduce a particular task. So that's what help you the functions. So that's what about the functions, overall function about. So like coming to the main function. So here we have main function, and you can ask me like so we are just in our in our main, I mean in our user defined function, we are just passing a parameter. So as you said, we are passing a parameter. So why can't we pass parameters inside the main function? So because main function is predefined function, and this is what created by the compiler and the C program, like whenever they created in this particular manner. So this is what we have to follow. We can't do anything with the main function. And even this return type also, even if you change it to float or something, that's going to show some warnings for you. Let me show that as well. Float means this is 0, right, in the sense. So it's going to show some warnings here. So you'll get output, but when it comes to see, so we're getting some warnings here. One warning here. So because we're getting inside the main function, so it's getting some warnings, right? So that's what will actually happens when we do in this manner. So that's what we have to use in this way only. And even this is like the return 0 and the integer type. That's what we have to do. We can't change anything here then. Like it actually, as I said, for a user defined function, like when we declare a function, we also have to call the particular function, right? Isn't it? The same way, even the main function also going to call by the compiler. When we run this particular code, when we click on this run button, everything going to call this particular operating system, like everything going to run internally. Even this main function also going to call by itself, like call it going to call by the compiler, like everything going to happen in a background, in a background link. So that's what everything, even this main function also going to call by callback compiler. They're going to happen in a background only. So the same way, even user defined function also we're going to call. But when it comes to this particular return type, we have to specify in this manner only. Even we can have this void here. Before that, I have mentioned here void, right? So void is nothing but it's not returning anything. Void is nothing but empty. It's empty. So the database void is empty. So there is nothing. So it's not returning anything. For example, if you don't want to return anything, you just want to print inside this particular function, then you can specify the specify it over here itself. If you want to print particular functionality by in particular function itself, then you can give a void and then you can give a printf function here. That is what also works here because we just catching the function, so it's not work. So I just delete it. Now let me run. Even this is also shows my error. So let me comment it first. I'm going to comment anything. Yeah, let me run it. Yeah, so we got the 15 as output. So we're just printing it inside the function, inside this particular function itself. So that's what we are doing here. So that's what we are doing. Like when it comes to void, even this main function also we can have it, but it shows some errors. Maybe it will show the particular from compiler to compiler, and each compiler will do something. So maybe it will get errors or may or may not will get errors. Because when it comes to some other compilers, it will works with the main. If you use a void, it will works. Even it is also correct as well. You can use a void as well. That will also work. But some compilers give warning for it. So that's what you have to specify the integer type only. It actually works with the internally. Even you can have void as well for main function. That's not an incorrect statement. That is also true, but the compilers like this whatever we are using this IDE code blocks going to show some errors, but some other IDE may not show errors. So that's what it depends on the compiler to compiler. So that's what about the today's class. So we're going to explore more about functions and these parameters and the types of functions, everything in our coming class. So thank you, sir. Thank you, guys, for watching the video. If you like my work, please do like, share, and subscribe to CoFocus.